He's obviously here for Castlevania. I run Girl on Geek and Little Geek Girls, which is a website that promotes the love from all things sci-fi and pop culture for girls under the age of 12. And we hope that if they love Star Wars, we guide them into a career of robotics engineering. So, you know, we want to really promote our young girls into everything. See, now it's great. Growing up, I couldn't find any other female, and now it's like half the room. We've got a great crowd in here, so thank you so much. And I'm really, really honored to moderate this panel. I wanted to cry. So I really love the animation, so without further ado, let's just get started. So, Adi Shankar, how are you? You're the showrunner for Castlevania.
Well, after that applause, I'm very good, very happy.
So, if you saw all the episodes, this man's name is in the front. Sam Deats, how are you? You're the director. Oh wow, you were just so happy to be here.
Oh, I am extremely happy to be here. This is kind of a surreal experience being up here and talking in front of all y'all about the show that we made.
So, for those who saw in the programming, we had Kevin Colt, but we did a little switcheroo. We got you somebody who's as good and not better. No. CEO of Powerhouse Animation, Brad Graeber, how are you? So, thank you so much for being here. Let's get the question out there, the elephant in the room I've been getting. What can we know about season 2?
Yeah!
I prefer to know about season 3.
Wait, so I think you guys all actually like the show, right?
Yeah!
Alright, cool. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Because like, if you guys didn't like the show, then I kind of like not
This would be
involved as
empty.
much.
This would be an empty room, right? So they love the show, but
Yeah.
can you guys tell us anything about season 2?
We can say that pretty much everything that is already known. There's 8 episodes of it, and it's coming as quickly as we can make it.
Oh, wow, you're surprisingly silent.
No. Like, I'm waiting for Adi if there was anything else to add about
Is there
season
anything we can add to that?
Are you asking me a grant question? Not answering that question.
So you said it was 8 episodes for season 2, which is something that we know. One of the things that I loved about it is this show has such great reception, but the only really negative criticism we got was it was so short. It was only 4 episodes of like 22 minutes each. There were so many happy, angry responses and comments everywhere.
Served its purpose.
How did the approach to 4 episodes kind of come to? Was it a decision done by you guys, Netflix? Was it Warren? How did we get 4 episodes of only 22 minutes each?
Well, it's 4 chapters of a much larger story, right? So, yeah, I'm with you. But again, 4 chapters of a much larger story. Like a year from today, or at some point, we're gonna look back and there'll be a playlist with a bunch of episodes, and no one's gonna remember whether it was 4 or whether it was 8. It's just, do you like it? You guys all like it?
Yes.
Yeah,
But yes, there will be more next time.
there will be more next time. So this project really started a very long time ago when Kevin first acquired the rights and built the initial scripts with Warren Ellis. And those initial scripts were the framework for the 4 episodes that we got and he worked on. And I think that that was, as soon as we got the okay, we got to just jump straight in. We had 4 scripts. We were ready for production. We got to start rolling with it.
Right.
It was just serendipitous to be able to jump straight into that had a nice, concise set of episodes. and told a story that really teases things more than anything else, but it was a great setup and hopefully made everyone excited for what was going to come next.
Right. And initially it was written as a direct-to-DVD feature, but around the time that it was initially finished is right when the direct-to-DVD market collapsed. And so the project hung around, and eventually Adi came around and him and Kevin pitched it to Netflix.
It's kind of an excellent thing that it happened that way, because I think Netflix is absolutely a better place for this to have lived, for sure.
Basically, they just compared me to a la carte. That's pretty cool.
Is this the beautiful hair? Your hair?
Are you saying my hair's beautiful?
Yes, yes I am.
No.
I mean, it's
So, Brad, you
I should like bleach it, right? Like just.
now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go platinum with that next year. I'm gonna make a deal with you guys. All right, next year I want to see more Castlevania cosplay, and I'll come back with like platinum blonde hair, or some shade of blonde that's not too much, but.
I can make that deal.
Go all the way.
So Brad, you mentioned that it was originally written for a direct to video, and everything kind of collapsed after that. For those who kind of don't know the really interesting story and history about how it started from there all the way to what we see now on Netflix, what was that entire journey like?
Oh man, it's unfortunately it's a story that Kevin Coldy would be much better at telling, since he was the man behind it all those years ago. But that's kind of the long and short of it. He reached out to Warren Ellis and started getting things going, and that direct-to-DVD market just wasn't the place for it.
And just for a double check, we have such amazing people back here. Can everybody in the back hear them up here? Yes? Okay, great. So,
I can yell louder if I need to.
louder? Want it louder?
I can get nice and close to this thing.
And as you guys were making the series, were there any particular clips or shots that you guys felt like, hey, the fans of Castlevania will go crazy over this. They will love it.
Oh, I mean, there's a few things that we were trying to specifically get people excited with. I mean, me personally being a huge fan of the series, especially starting with Symphony of the Night, the Alucard stuff was something we were very, very, very particular about when he was first rising out of the coffin and first lifting his head. And we wanted to sell that beautiful Adi Kojima aesthetic with the character. And I mean, that whole fight was a love letter to fans, and just a huge amount of fun for us to put together as well. So that obviously was a huge thing just for fans. But really throughout the series there are tons of little things, either big or small, in the design of certain set pieces, design of characters, design of props that are directly or even just inspired by pieces from all the games. And it's really fun to see people actually catching all those little things, even if it's just like a tiny thing, like a design of a rug or something. It's like, yeah.
So, what was some of your favorite scenes, or scenes that you felt that the fans would love?
Well, Powerhouse we've done a lot of fight choreography style action type stuff. So two of the scenes that really stand out to us are the Cyclops fight scene and then the Alucard and Trucker fight scene at the end. So we have an animation director in Austin, Spencer Wong, who kind of handled some of those, and we actually animated them in-house in Austin before shipping them out.
Oh yeah, we spent a great deal of time on several particular scenes: the Alucard cover fight, the Cyclops fight, and really all the action scenes. We had a lot of direct control over and hand animated that stuff ourselves.
What about you, Adi? What's your favorite scenes?
You know, it's like early in the process, what we talked a lot about was cinematic storytelling. You know, just a simple thing like having multiple layers of action happening within a shot, right? So if you guys remember the scene where the night creatures first appear and they start like massacring all the townspeople, like episode 1. You guys all remember that scene? Yep. You guys all like that scene? You guys
This entire panel's a spoiler, just so you guys know, so let's go.
But when you see the carnage happening, you know, one of the things that really emphasizes the carnage is, wow. I'm not going for it. I think this is Kevin, the other. I'm just kidding. It's not. Oh, it's Warren Ellis.
Yeah.
It would have been amazing if it was. There was like multiple layers of action happening in each frame, right? So you have someone running in here, but this way where the face gets ripped off, meanwhile a night creature takes down someone back there, right? So like adding multiple layers of action in each frame so that you're not wasting a shot, loading each shot with detail that motivates the story, you know, every time that was done.
Yeah, especially in that sequence, there's this one part, I don't know if y'all remember from the show, but this woman turns around and you don't see that her face has been destroyed until she... And that's kind of a turning point in the story too, because you know some stuff's about to go down, but then you see her face and you're like, oh, stuff's really about to go down. But we were in the mix for that, and talking about Kevin again while he's not here. We were listening to all the sound effects for that, and there was this one noise that was going, that was there. He has to drop everything else out, but that one sound, and it really was just perfect.
Yeah.
It's totally.
That bit is very important, just in terms of the storytelling as well, because up until that point we're setting up Dracula as being a sympathetic villain, and then we're like, oh wait, but all this is going to happen now. So it was important to really sell that carnage and that moment, because we got to see the side that now Dracula is bringing, and
it was like this fine, like episode 1 in particular, right? It's this fine line between going, oh, I'm mad with him, like I want these people to suffer, and then towards the end of the episode being like, okay, well not that bad. Slap them around a little bit, call them some mean names, lock them in a basement somewhere, but dude, don't rip their face off and then have them walk around.
It was the first time in the history of the studio that we were drawing dead children.
That's just not true.
So you guys mentioned the Cyclops scene several times, and I know it was one that a lot of people loved. So, with the courtesy of Powerhouse Animation, we have a roughness of what it looked like before the final that you guys see. So, if you guys are filming, please, if you can, kind of shut off your cell phone or cameras. This is for you guys who waited in line and got ready to come all the way here to San Diego to come see this. You guys get to see this.
This is a rough animated clip of the Cyclops sequence, and it includes parts that you can see that are still storyboards, parts that were animated by our crew directly at Powerhouse, and also you can even see a few spots where things were animated on paper, and which I can go into all day long, how weird that is. But this is how it looks before it gets all finished and colored and everything.
scenes like that in season 2. Dope.
You know, this was one of the real impactful scenes. This was a moment where I went online and I saw a lot of people go, Trevor Belmont is the, oh, are there people under 18 here? Well, he's the shit. And I want to be him. You know, he's such an amazing character. But we want to talk about a little bit how you guys chose the characters, because a lot of people were also asking, where is Grant? So, from this moment, how did you guys pick the characters that you guys did for these 4?
Just if we can go back to that clip for a second.
Sure.
No, not loading it up.
Okay.
But there's
Okay.
a funny moment at the end of the clip. At the end of that scene. Do you guys remember what happens after Sypha becomes a human?
Yeah, all the other guys.
Right. And so like that wasn't. We added that.
Yeah,
Because
well, that wasn't scripted. We just
so like my favorite part about making this show, right, is like just the rapport that we've all built. We have this Friday call, like every Monday, every Friday at 1, we hop on the phone with this conference call, which is a very weird system. Like not the calls are great. I'm talking about the conference call system, the actual interface, but I digress. Yeah, and we like kind of just get on this call and we like just debate various aspects of the show, right? And then we were like, this scene's awesome, and Cyclops becoming human's awesome. But you know, like every time I've seen a Cyclops on any form of media, like you see people's, you know, their arm gets ripped off or something, or broken when they're a statue.
Oh, like when you have something that's turned to stone, what happens?
What happens when they're no longer turned to stone?
Yeah. And yeah, we took that moment and we were like, well, you know, and sometimes it's just like, well, if they're broken and they just stay that way, or you know, something like that. But we decided to try it out and actually have them turn back, and it just turned into this goofy little comedic moment that.
And it was in a way to not have characters come back to life and be talking and interacting and.
Right, it's like what happened to those other people? Like, is Trevor just a horrible person that he just literally like left them there? Like some guy like, wakes up and gets them an arm, he's like, help me! But Trevor's just too far away.
We very much had to make sure that anything that came back was going to be very dead when it came back. By the way, I don't know if anyone noticed, but anyone remember the axe armor from all the Castlevania games, the blue armor that goes around?
Yep.
That one that tips over and spills blood immediately. That's axe armor. You can see the axe laying to the side, and he's all blue and everything. Little nods like that.
And also the head without, you know, the body without the head, and he comes back and it's like he's dead. Right? You guys remember that? That's Grant. It's gonna be like the internet rumors.
What are you doing, man?
Starting more internet rumors.
Sorry. So going back to your question about choosing the characters and everything, I mean, a lot of that was something that Warren Ellis brought way back when, 10 years ago, when he first wrote the scripts. I mean, I came on board with this project just a couple of years ago. This was when deals were getting finalized and all that kind of stuff, and Warren Ellis' script was right there in front of us to work with. But a lot of the reason that these characters work so well, especially with the 4-episode setup, is that all of their stories are tied together with the event, Lisa's burning, and how they're directly affected by the church and what they're doing at the time, and all their stories are tied together in that same manner. And so I think that this group of characters, especially with the 4-episode structure for the beginning of the show, just happened to play very well in terms of storytelling.
You look like you had something on your mind.
I could have gotten into the ways in which the scripts evolved over time.
Sure, get into it.
Before, but that's.
Go on.
Well, you know, I think the one thing that's been super consistent from day one was this need to have a villain who really was the hero of his own story,
Okay.
right? Who looks at the events, the kaleidoscopes of sounds and images that make up his reality, and he goes, "No, I'm totally right here, and what I'm doing makes a lot of sense and is completely justified." So that we could actually explore who these people are, what makes them tick in high pressure situations.
And I think that I adore the fact that we are able to develop Dracula's character in this way, and I hope that everyone here is enjoying that as well. And one of the things that I've definitely liked with all this is that contrast between Trevor's character and Dracula, because they are similar in a lot of ways. Their backstories are similar in a lot of ways, and so how Trevor decides to go down I guess in a way a different path is an important aspect that and part of the reason why I think that's this direction for the cast of characters works so well.
So, one of the things I consistently saw was people saying, finally, this is a good adaptation of a video game franchise.
Yeah.
And with that came recently your announcement that you're also doing Assassin's Creed. Okay, it was so quiet. So, well, now you guys know. And
Yay!
so, what is it that you guys felt like made it such a good adaptation with such good reception from it? Other than obviously being fans of the franchise yourself. But we hear that all the time from people involved. They're like, oh, we love this franchise. And then when you see the final product, you're like, did they even read this comic? Or even play this game?
Usually they don't.
Okay, so what is it that you guys felt that you guys brought to it that made it just so well loved and so well received?
I think that one of the nice things about this production is that we had a great balance, and balance is a very important aspect to doing an adaptation like this. We don't want to beat the audience over the head with the fact that this is a video game, this is a video game, this is a video game. We want to tell a story. We want to take characters that we love and adore and tell a story with them that fits those characters. Some video game adaptations go out of their way to remind the viewer that this was a video game. Hey, just letting you know over and over again with either an overabundance of pandering or by putting in literal video game type moments in the show, and that's not a great way to adapt something. On the flip side, a lot of video game adaptations might take something and choose to do something that's so different from what it originally was, and change it so much that it wasn't recognizable, and you wonder why they took that IP. If they were just going to change it to so much.
Mario Brothers.
That was a good movie.
Yeah. And we there's just a balance with that. I mean, the scripts are at least within firing range of the original games, instead of just being a complete from the ground up reboot. There's the character, the art style, and the character designs and everything are heavily influenced by the work that we all adore from Kojima. And then we just poured a whole bunch of love and hoped for the best.
In our studio, it's one that probably 70% of the work we've done up to this point has been cinematics for video games. You know, we worked with Banner Saga, Darksiders, Epic Mickey. You know, we work a lot telling the story inside of video games, and so it's a place we're very comfortable in trying to make games tell stories. And finally, we had the opportunity to, you know, tell the story of a game outside of the game.
That was literally some Inception. That was literally, you know, it's like layers of game outside.
But I guess other than that, it's you know, I don't know whether or not it's not necessarily that we put a whole bunch of thought into how exactly to do a video game adaptation. We're just like, well, no, how do we tell a good story with this? And it being something that we loved, and it happened in us, you know, not rewriting everything from the ground up. That's I think that's part of it, but part of it is just trying to tell a good story.
And just kind of, because like a good story to tell about that is what happened was Sam saw something about Adi being re-involved with the project on the internet, because Adi starts internet rumors. And so
No, internet rumors start me.
and so Sam, you know, said, we need to do this project. Like, you can't
I kind of just poked him and I was like, hey, we should do that.
That's kind of how I heard about you first, by the way. I met Brad, and he's like, and Sam is very excited.
Yeah. And we were so excited that we made a pitch deck like we were in an ad agency, and said, this is why you should choose Powerhouse to animate the series. And we hadn't seen any scripts. We hadn't had any conversations. But when we went and showed it to some of our previous work into this deck, these guys, everybody in the room had the same level of appreciation for wanting to stay true to the same elements of the story.
Yeah, it's interesting, we never actually talked about that day, right? I don't know what your perception was of me, and really?
Yeah, no, not of you, just of so we walk in the door, and Kevin, again, who's not here, he's a big, muscle-y guy, and he's terrifying. Is that would be okay to say? He's a sweetheart, but when you first meet him, he's kind of like a tough and grumbly Mr. Clean sort of character. And so we walked in the door at Frederator. First time I've ever met him in person. I was a big Ren and Stimpy fan. If you don't know Kevin's background, he was a producer on all the Spunko stuff. And so getting to meet him for the first time, I opened the door and he looks at the two of us and one other guy that came with us and goes, bunch of babies.
Oh my God, yeah, he did say that. He said stuff like that, but I'm so used to it. I'm like so used to it that it doesn't register to me. Oh my gosh, yeah, that was listening.
Well, now we know that's just classic Kevin, and he's being funny. But at the time, I was like,
So we walked in, we showed a whole bunch of animation, and I started to feel better because I was ready to get into the pitch. Again, this was a big opportunity. The guys really at the studio really wanted it. And so I wanted to get to the deck we had built with the slides and everything. But he was like, let's just keep watching the animation that we were showing. I was like,
it's just like my thing, just throw wrenches in people's.
No, it was great because that's really all that we wanted to show. Like, if they were into the sort of stuff that we were doing, the animation that we had, we knew that it was going to work.
My favorite, like my recollection of that meeting is just, I don't remember the words that were said, but I remember we just all spoke the same language. My first recollection of talking to you, I was like, here's another dude who liked games. Which is like weird, because, this is something like I was made fun of for.
oh yeah, as a kid.
Right, as a kid, people were like, why are you so into games?
I had to hide it,
Right. Because, I don't know, it wasn't cool back then.
Yeah.
Even though now it's awesome, and all those people are like sad that they didn't play games.
It's such a all those people that missed out on Chrono Trigger.
Right. Now they're all like, yeah, of course I play Over what?
So I want to know if you guys have any questions. I always want to try to leave enough room for questions. Could you guys start lining up behind the microphone, please? And oh my! Oh, wow! Here it comes, you guys. Please try to limit to one question, as we have a great, beautiful line forming.
I may not be able to answer everything. Oh, I have that shirt. It's literally in my suitcase right now. Yeah, actually my wife went, and I keep stealing it from her.
All right, so considering it was renewed so quickly, I'm assuming you guys have a plan, so I'm hoping you can talk about it a little bit. Are you planning on going through the Rondo of Blood storyline into Symphony of the Night, or are you going to jump around to different arcs, such as like Simon and Belmont, etc.?
Okay, here's what I will say. Without doing the spoiler thing, which if I get too deep into it, I become like spoiler guy. The story of Castlevania, to me, is it's a story of a family. It's a story of a lineage, right? It's this family dealing with not just monsters, but what's going on in that time period where where the monsters are at. So you can read into what I just said, and I will confirm and deny nothing.
Thank you. Hi there.
Hi. So I was really impressed watching it because the high quality animation like this goes overseas. And the whole time my friends and I are watching, we're like, oh, I think it's bones. I don't know, we're trying to gauge it. And then we look it up and we're like, it's from Texas? So how did you guys make such high quality animation and keep it in the States? Because 9 times out of 10, it's not done here.
Can I talk you guys up for a split second? Because I feel like I don't do it enough. Or even when I do it in the interview, it doesn't make it in. And these guys are like amazing. Like seriously. A couple of years ago, I made a pitch deck, and that pitch deck said, until South Park and Family Guy, animation for adults simply didn't exist. And now you get a lot of great shows that are animation for adults, they're all comedies, right? I grew up in Hong Kong, and I grew up with animation for adults, but also like in the action adventure genre. And there was this whole pitch deck of this crazy idea, which was to do like 2D, hand-drawn, adult-oriented Castlevania, which hopefully leads to an ecosystem where we can make more stuff like this. But I was kind of like, I don't know how to do this. And then, it was like Cinderella. Right? It was a Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, or it was some Disney, I don't know, it was all of a sudden a Disney movie where you guys just walked into my life. And I was like John Cusack they were John Cusack with the boombox.
I guess to answer your question and to clarify a little bit. So to talk about the production with Powerhouse. So we handled a bunch of the key animation and rough animation for important scenes, for action scenes, and for a lot of stuff. There's shots of Lisa and Dracula at the beginning that I personally handled the keys for. There's shots in other parts of when Alucard first rises out of the coffin and we see that. I went in there, I was like, Alucard must be perfect. And handled all of that stuff. And then Spencer Wan in particular, oh my God, he's a fantastic animator. It doesn't make any sense that he's 24, right?
He's 24.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
He animated the vast majority of the Cyclops fight and the Alucard and Trevor fight. I helped out where I could, but I was jumping around a lot. In particular, because my time was limited, I tried to focus on important emotional scenes and stuff like that. But we did work with a studio in Korea, MUA Film, and they were a fantastic partner that helped us out a great deal. But Powerhouse is was extremely involved with the animation process. We did provide lots of it. The Night Creature raid, when they're getting torn up, that was our guys. Those poor, unfortunate dead bodies on the ground. I drew those. I'm sorry. And when all of that came back, one of the differences I think that Powerhouse brings to the table versus other productions in the US is that when we got the work back, that wasn't it. That wasn't the end. We went back over, I think I counted 500 or 600 shots, which is almost half of the entire show, and did either minor edits up to reanimated entire scenes. And recomposited the whole thing in order to have all the nice, lovely lighting, and particle effects, and atmosphere effects, and everything else that was done in After Effects, by the way. And in order to bring that kind of expected anime level compositing and lighting, it's stuff that you see in like UFO table production, stuff like that we wanted to do, stuff that we loved and we felt like the show deserved, and so we went out of our way to try to include it. So it was a collaborative effort between us and MUA Film, and they're beautiful, wonderful people, extremely talented folks over there that we adored. So it wasn't 100% here, but we were very, very, very involved, and that was really a part of it. It was a passion project. So, you know, I put in a lot of extra hours. Spencer Wong put in a lot of extra hours. Our other animators and compositing and director and assistant director, Adam Deats, my brother, he put in a lot of extra hours polishing every scene as much as he possibly could, along with the rest of our post-production team and our other animators who went in and reanimated, touched up hundreds of shots.
And you can tell why. I mean, it's the same reason that the question comes up. I mean, we've been in the animation studio for 16 years. For all of those 16 years, I mean, he's grown and learned, but for all of those 16 years, we could have been working on stuff like this. And it's hard to convince people out there that this stuff can be done in the States, and it can. And Sam is such a talented guy that he's also attracted other similar talents and other people who want to show that this sort of animation can be done in the States.
We want to do it.
Thank you. What is our next question?
What traditional Castlevania boss would you love Trevor to fight?
Sorry, what was that question?
I said, what traditional Castlevania boss would you love Trevor to fight?
Oh, one quick thing. When you're asking a question, could you say what your name, where you're from, and what's your favorite Castlevania game?
Super Castlevania 4. I'm from Palm Springs, and my name is Israel.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So what monster? What boss battle?
I mean, like,
Other than a chicken in the wall.
I feel like, you know, the tricky thing is that we might get into some kind of spoiler territory.
Yeah, we can't answer that.
Yeah.
I was gonna kind of let him almost get there and then sorry.
Then a dart would hit him in the neck.
Right.
Yeah. We'll try to fit the favorite in the show.
So these the answers you will find out.
Yes.
You will find out.
Next question.
Yes, and next.
Dude, that is a Silk outfit.
Thank you very much. My name is Jonathan. I'm from San Jose, California. Some of the most valuable IP is the music from the Castlevania games, and I was hoping that there would be more nostalgic music in the season. There wasn't, but that's okay. I enjoyed the soundtrack anyway. So can you address why you didn't choose music, and if you will choose the game music in the future seasons? And also, I think there should be a battle between Cyclops and Shaft.
Right. I feel weirdly very comfortable with you, by the way.
Okay.
I feel like. Pardon?
My shirt's off?
No, you do have an Alucard thing going on. No, you have the beats. They asking you advice. You're asking me questions, but I want to ask you the question. Music. You guys like looking at me. So, I'm not going to answer that question. What I'm going to say, though, is we have a surprise, like with some of the music that's dropping at some point. Just kind of like a thank you to you guys. It may or may not be a mixtape or something. And it may or may not be official. It may or may not have like rappers on it or something.
Hi, yes, I'm Stan Type from Fresno, California. My favorite Castlevania game, I guess, is Dracula X.
Yeah.
It's got a shirt.
On the PSP version.
Oh yeah, it's great. I just actually finished doing a playthrough.
Anyways, my question is, what are the people at Konami or a lot of the Japanese designers who worked on a lot of the previous Castlevania games, have they had a chance to talk about it or give you their opinion? I'm just curious.
I'm actually going to Japan in a week. Yeah, so,
To the surprise of your panelists.
Can you ask?
of course, I'll live stream the answer. I'll get in the room with them, I'll corner them, and I'll be like, hey, nice to meet you. Hold up. What'd you think? And then, you know, add subtitles that may or may not reflect what you actually said.
Thank you.
So all I can really bring to that is that Konami was super chill the entire time we were working on this. They loved everything we were doing, and like when the only notes that we were getting back was like that particular curliness to Alucard's hair, or oddly enough, they were just really good at catching continuity errors, and we were like, oh shit, right, okay, and so like they were a good extra set of eyes to make sure that we didn't fuck something up.
They were really watching, because we got one note back that was like, Alucard switches his sword hand in this fight.
And reanimate a bunch of stuff because of that.
Yes.
Although the curly hair thing, the curly hair, no, that was actually me. I was just saying. I'm just like, I can't get curly hair.
It was a good note, though. It was good.
Hi there. Hi. My name is Grace. I'm from LA.
Hey, Grace, what's your favorite Castlevania game?
To be honest, I haven't played any. I mostly watch my
So, Kid Dracula.
My question was like, since all 4 episodes have been, haven't released, we're able to enjoy. Was there any scenes that you would have loved to expand on and add any more animation to it if you had the chance?
Was there a particular scene that you guys wish you guys could extend or expand on?
Pardon?
Was there a particular scene that you guys wish you guys could have expanded on?
No. Like this was the expanded, on version. Like this, like we have a master plan for a story that we want to tell, and these were the scenes, these were the moments that get us there. Right? We're a fan of storytelling that moves with at a pace. And again, we didn't want to do I'm talking now back to the development process. We didn't want to do the monster of the week thing, where it's like, tune in next Tuesday, and we'll see what Trevor learns from his battle with
Loading Medusa.
Right. All he learns is that he needs to trust himself and believe in, like, something, I don't know. So, I think I answered your question.
Thank you. Just want to let you know that my favorite, I actually love the scene with Bishop and the Devil.
Oh yeah, the blue veins.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time sound design, just thinking through the scariest way to present it.
And I absolutely love that sequence too. I think that it has a lot of meaning behind it. It's really creepy, and I think the sound design in particular.
Totally, it's kind of like based on stuff that's happened to us before. So.
My name's Josh. I'm from Brentwood, California, and my favorite game is number 2, Science Quest. So Dracula's Castle tends to be the playground for most of the Castlevania games, and it's always changing, but there's always these certain aspects that stay the same, like the clock tower, the armory. Are we going to get to explore the castle more, and like, are you going to put nods towards specific parts of the castle?
So, like, spoiler.
That's spoiler city right there.
Like, how does episode 8 end? I can't tell you. I can tell you how episode 8 ends.
It's called Castlevania.
Yeah.
But can we expect more out of the castle?
There may or may not be a castle.
And people may or may not be going inside castles. Or just one castle in particular.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Blaze. I'm from Los Angeles. My favorite Castlevania games are 3, Dracula X Chronicles, and Order of Ecclesia.
So you played Dracula's Curse?
Yeah. Was that the SNES one? Well, let me just get to my questions. So, Castlevania has given us several backstories and reboots and etc. Have you guys given any thought beyond that the Belmonts know what the inside of Dracula's castle looks like? Like, is there going to be something with maybe Trevor's mother, Sonia, or Leon Belmont, or something more like Lords of Shadow? Any thoughts of that?
I don't know if I can help you there. Again, spoiler city.
Well, if there's spoilers, that means there's something. Thank you.
Thank you for that question.
Hello.
Hey, I'm Luke from Louisiana.
Hey!
My favorite game is actually Super Castlevania 4, and I always like going back to the first one. So my question is, kind of from a storytelling perspective, again, with all the secrets behind season 2, I don't know if this would be a spoiler thing or not, but the thing I liked about the first one so much was just that Trevor's like whole thing was such a realistic character, but he goes through a dynamic shift that kind of inverses Dracula. So I guess my big question is, would we get some more of that from like other characters throughout the thing, like Cypher, Alucard, like another duality with Dracula, Grana?
You were going so well. Like, I was like, I love this. I can't wait to answer this question. And you went right into spoiler land.
But didn't Richard Armitage do an amazing job?
We were so lucky. I'm sorry, this is a tangent. We were so lucky.
We probably only have time for one more question, by the way.
We were
like after this.
We were so lucky to for Richard to fall into our laps because we were actually having trouble with snagging someone, and he came in last minute and busted through all of his work for those episodes in a long, grueling session that if he hadn't came in and helped us out doing that all at once, we would have been in a bind. So,
and the highlight for a small studio in Texas, when these voice records are going on, Sam does them via Skype. And so he can mute his end, and everybody can come and try to stay out of the camera view.
And his toy collection is always in the background.
Sorry.
Next question.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. So we are given the fact that this panel is almost over to our sadness. However, we're going to try to do lightning round. Fast answers. Let's go.
My Super Castlevania, the spinning tunnel. Did you had a completed mini movie, right? You had completed the animation for the movie. Do I have that right?
No, absolutely not.
Was there any difference between what changes did you make from the movie to the series?
That is an awesome question that I literally cannot answer because of the time that it would take to answer that. Other than that, there were some changes, and I think it was adulted. It was adulted even more. Right.
Symphony of the Night rocks. We're on the first CD, had by another one. You did a really good job about surprising us, going to the countryside. with the populace, and you said that you're going to introduce the castle possibly at a later point. Are we going to see a little bit more of the countryside before we transition in there? Because I know you guys probably have your storyboards of events.
There are locations, yes. What those locations are, what they may not look like, or may look like, and if we return to any of these, but I got to stop. This is the time to stop. Thank you so much. I love you all.
Thank you.
Once